I'm good.
Everyone ready? Everyone good? Everyone set? Cool. Give me 1 second. Let me press the buttons. Okay. I have clicked the buttons, turned the knobs, pushed the dials, all those things. We are live once again for yet another episode of Whicktv, a cross-ideological space where we come together to talk about issues both political and cultural, from the silly to the serious. Gang, I wasn't going to stream tonight, but then I saw what occurred last night and I just had to. I had to talk about this. This is something that is relevant. The iron is hot, and we need to discuss it. This goes to the very core of what it means to have free speech in America. For those of you who don't know, for the past few weeks, there have been protests on multiple campuses across the U.S., from Columbia to the UCLA, Florida campuses to the University of Texas, on both private and public colleges. This has sparked a wide variety of responses from both the public at large as well as university administrations. And we're going to talk about it tonight. Last night, Columbia called in the New York Police Department to arrest the protesters who had barricaded themselves inside of Hamilton Hall, I believe it was, one of the buildings on campus. As well, in Los Angeles at the UCLA, there was a group of pro-Israel protesters who attacked an encampment of anti-Israel protesters,
Yeah.
and it had some violent results. But we're going to talk about all that. We'll get into it. I'd like to thank everyone for being here. I'd like to thank my guests for coming today, and we're going to just start the ball rolling. I'm going to pass the ball to Principles Before Politics. What are your thoughts on this? Get us started. Go ahead.
All right. So basically, the only thing I'm really interested in talking about with regards to this is the issues related to speech and protest. I'm not particularly concerned about the content. The same thing goes for the counter protesters. We're talking about the behavior, not about the message they're trying to send. The situation at Columbia and UCLA is, in my opinion, a failure of leadership. These folks absolutely should have been. The police should have been brought in sooner, and you could have had a much less large-scale event taking place.
Okay, thank you. We'll get into it as we go, I'm sure. Let's pass the ball to Omar. Go ahead.
Hello, everyone. This is Omar from the third grade. I hope everybody's doing fine. What happened this week was the most disgusting thing that has ever happened in my lifetime. When the three elements of corruption in society, corporate media, the political class, and the economic elites came together and demonized these students and called them anti-Semite. All of a sudden, these students who are in the best schools in this country wake up one day and decided to be anti-Jewish, started attacking Jewish students, not taking into consideration most of the protesters were Jewish. In the end, the New York Post said they had a headline with this girl said she was stabbed by a Palestinian flag in her eye. She went on Piers Morgan, her eyes were beautiful. There were not nothing happened. And last night we saw who are the real enemies, who are the real liars, when the supposedly victims, Jewish students, attacked the peaceful encampments in UCLA. It is a failure of leadership. It is a corruption in our political class who are under the control of APAC. Yesterday, I looked up at APAC. Out of the 100 senators, 97 out of 100 get money from the Jewish lobby called APAC. Thank you.
We will get into that as we go, I am sure. Thank you for being here. Appreciate you. Next up, Kevin Logan. What are your thoughts?
Hello there, everyone. Yes, I am genuinely heartened by the protests happening on both US campuses, but around the world. But we're specifically talking about the US today. The show of solidarity from both the student bodies of various learning institutions, as well as the faculty, and in some cases, although be rather rarely, unfortunately, the administration staff and the kind of leaders of these organizations. I think it's the closest America has ever come to a genuine awakening on this topic in a way that I've never seen before. It would have been unthinkable to even have such protests even 10 years ago, I think. So I think it's a sign that A, Israel has overplayed its hand, and B, that they've lost certainly world opinion in some respect, and they may have to change on that basis, and that's probably quite good. Also, I think the use of police in this situation is especially galling in some respects, because if the idea is to make to solve this problem peacefully, the last thing I think you would do is call in the NYPD, an organisation that seems almost uniquely suited to escalating violent situations into incredibly violent situations where it needn't be that way. So I've been genuinely heartened by the solidarity, but also disgusted by the way in which certain people in media, academia, and politics have reacted to it.
Counterpoint's computer froze. He'll be back in a second, gang. Don't worry. But Kevin, thank you for your comments. We will get into it as we go. So I can kill a little time before Counterpoints gets back to give his thoughts. I initially, when I saw these police being called in, especially during the University of Texas, again, I think that the police response was disproportionate. I think it was overplaying their hand. I don't think they should have been called in the first place in Texas. But the problem with this topic, the problem with this this discussion, and one of the things that I hope we can avoid tonight, is conflating these different protests. Not all of them are the same, right? The actions of what they were doing in Texas are not the same as what was going on in Colombia, and that's not the same of what's happening in UCLA, and that's not the same of what's happening in other protests.
Wick, are you doing? Is this your opening statement, or can I interject at this point?
You can interject. We're killing time until Counter gets back.
Yeah. Which of the protests? Maybe it would be, I think, interesting to elucidate from your perspective, because I'm a person who follows you on the Twitters. Which of the protesters you were referring to, albeit possibly jokingly, when you retweeted a thing about sending pro-Palestinian students to Iran and allowing pro-Western Iranian students into the United States? Which of the campuses were you looking to send to Tehran exactly?
That was a response. I retweeted a quote tweet to the Iranian president, Khamenei. I don't know how to say his name. I'm sorry. But he offered that those who had been expelled for protesting in Palestine could come and attend Iranian colleges for free. And the response that I was retweeting was just a joke about how, sure, we can swap. We can have the liberal protesters in Iran who had been raped and murdered, basically, is what happened to the Iranian protesters. Come over here and we'll give you ours. And I thought that was just funny.
What was the demands of the students at Columbia, if you know? Let me see if we know.
At Columbia specifically, I believe divestment was one of the demands, but they also
was it that bad?
They wanted They wanted disclosure of investment as well.
Yeah. There's a few. So there's 5 main demands that I'm sure of. I don't know all of them off the top of my head, but divestment, disclosing. If I may, you asked me a question. If I could answer. Yeah, divestment, disclosure. They also wanted lack of prosecution. They wanted no punishment for the students, whether it be by law or through the faculty. There's a couple others that I'm not sure about off the top of my head, so I won't repeat them. But those were, as I understand it, their main demands. But before we go on, Counterpoints is back. Hopefully it's working. So we're going to pass the ball to him. What are your thoughts on these protests, my friend? Go ahead.
Yeah, of course I have the normie centrist take. So and then did I knock somebody else out?
What is going on with the tech, gang?
Listen, it's 6 p.m. EST. We're just getting off of work. We got to set up all our stuff. So, anyways, no. In reference to the protests, listen. I love that part of what makes this country great is we are free to express our opinions and we're free to express our conscience in public as long as we're not advocating for violence or crimes. I think that's one of the things that makes this great. Also, I think that there is something to be said that just because it's illegal doesn't make it immoral. So if there's students who feel like they need to take extra procedural or extra legal means in order to accomplish a goal, then that's totally on them as people of conscience. However, extra legal and extra procedural means that you have to be willing to suffer extra legal, or you have to be willing to suffer legal and procedural consequences. So saying like, hey, we can take over your buildings, we can smash stuff, we can spray paint stuff, we can shoot fireworks at people, we can beat people up, we can take over your spaces, we can bar Jewish students from attending school, we can interrogate students about whether or not they're Zionists or not. It's a lie.
Yes.
It's a lie.
Yes.
What part of have I lied about? Please tell me.
Preventing Jewish students from going. Come on, guys. Let's be honest, man. Let's not treat these people as.
Yeah, let's be honest. I can go find a clip right now of a Jewish student who basically says, "Hey, I'm Jewish and I'm a Zionist. I would like to go to class over there." And the students.
I know what it is. I know what that thing is. He wanted to go right through.
Yeah, it was UCLA.
He could have went any other place. Well, last night they attacked the Jewish student. Attacked those people. Now, who's violence? Those students or those?
Oh yeah, okay, hold on. Let me go ahead and concede the debate already. Yeah. Let me concede the debate already. Arabs are never violent. Leftist protesters never do anything wrong. There's no violence from your side. There's no extrajudicial, or extra procedural.
Do you have an issue with Arabs? Because he said the same thing last time. He called us cowards.
Sure. I have a beef with people who sympathize with jihadist terrorism. Yeah, I got beef with that.
Well, actually, the people who are dying are the Arabs. 40,000 people have been killed. You've been killing people in Afghanistan for 20 years. You killed 1 million.
Yeah, but see, you're not addressing. You've not. Oh no. This is part of the problem right here.
You killed 1 million.
I killed.
Hang on, you're not even letting him get through his opening statement.
Yeah.
No, this is perfect. I love it.
Hey, everyone will stop talking when I say to stop talking. Everyone.
Rubble.
I love stop. I love the energy, but I want to draw it all the way fucking back to the college protest. We're going to start there, then we can get to all of that. But let's start at the college protests, okay?
He threw the word Arab.
There's no Arabs at the protest?
They was students. It doesn't matter who they are. They're all American students, okay? You don't know if they were American students.
You don't know that. There could be people who are transfers who are here on a visa.
It does also, I mean, do you know? I don't know and you don't know, right?
I know that there's probably international students who are participating in protests.
Let's just call them students. Don't get to that Arab shit because I'm not going to stand for that, okay? You understand?
I don't care. So no.
The same shit. Oh, the Arabs walk around with AK-47. Okay, relax, okay?
Yep.
Okay, the Arabs have not done
No.
Since 1990, the most people have been dying are the Arabs at the hands of smart bombs made by the United States military industry.
Yeah, okay, this is another stupid fucking point. 90, yeah, 1.5 million Iraqis. Do you know how the 1.5 million died? At the hands of each other. No, because Sunni and Shia were butchering each other in the fucking streets, you goddamn idiot.
You're the fucking idiot. You dismantled the whole country.
No, you're the fucking idiot. Oh, okay, so hold on. So if the United States, let's say the federal government disappears, and then okay, hold on. Okay, so let's say an Arab.
We got big dicks like everybody.
Who cares?
We have 2 balls.
I don't care about your dicks.
Else, so I want you to respect our
okay?
dicks on balls. All right, you fucking.
I have no problems with your dicks and balls. No problems with your dicks and balls. That's not my problem at all.
We're on Twitch.
Excuse me.
Okay, do we want to get into the war on terror, or do we want to go to the protest?
No, we want to go to the protest. Stop! Oh my god! This has been the worst panel I've hosted in a while. We couldn't even get past go. We couldn't even get past the start without this happening. Let's focus on... I'll also ask the questions. I'll ask the questions to start, and we'll get through it. 2 PMB and 2 counterpoints. Do you think there has been any police overstep in the responses to the protests? And if so, what has that overstep been? Is there any thing you can point to and say, hey, I'm not okay with how the police handled that?
Yes, absolutely. Go ahead, Connor.
Examples. Yeah.
No, I said no, not yet. So you can tell me the examples.
Oh, sure. Okay. So I want to be clear here because again, Wick, you were commenting on keeping clear which schools we're talking about. I think it's also important to remember the timeline of events, right? So, and if one of these might have been more or less reasonable based on which campus it was on and when exactly it took place. There were instances of tear gas being used that I thought were overreaches. that you could have used basic riot police to handle that situation. You did not need to go to chemicals. That said, I'm pretty sure I heard about one earlier today, and I don't have the details on that one. And if they were clashing with police, which I've seen plenty of videos of people clashing with police, generally speaking, they outnumber the police. So there's a reason that tear gas is in the toolkit, but I don't think it should have been reached for in the
first
instances.
place. Yeah. First of all,
Okay.
the students were peaceful, especially in Colombia. They had
Well,
their
no. Here's a question to your side then, Omar, and this is for Kevin as well. So Kevin and Omar, can you again point to any incidents in any of these protests where you think that the protesters got out of hand and did need to have the police come in?
Okay. Well, firstly, to kind of denying any police overreach, that doesn't surprise me, given his past as I believe you're a former policeman yourself. Yeah, there's a certain kind of self-protection that he's engaged in with by the police. I don't know that there's much the police could do that former police officers and indeed current serving police officers would have a problem with, at least in the public sphere. It's pretty pathetic, actually. And again, you're going to further delegitimize the police in the eyes of people who already, you need to win the trust back of at some point. But regardless of that, are there people who have overstepped the mark in the protest? Yeah, absolutely. I think I've seen, albeit limited numbers, there have been examples of anti-Semitism and violence used, and that's not fucking cool. I'm not okay with that. And that doesn't involve fighting back against the police, because if you're aggressed upon, I think that's self-defense at that point. But yeah, there's been some fuckery. There's no doubt. Like, you couldn't have a thing spread across that kind of geographic area involving that number of people without some fuckery going on. Do you think there's ever been a civil rights movement in the history of the world that was ever entirely peaceful or entirely, with the founding fathers, angels, with the Vietnam protests entirely peaceful? No, of course not.
well,
Omar, what about you?
I think anti-Semitism was overplayed, and they turned the
Oh yeah.
hold on. In order to dilute the message of the student, and their objective is, they pushed the Jewish community as they were under attack, forgetting that a third or maybe more are Jewish students who are protesting. I live in Brooklyn, New York, and on Saturday night, more than 500 American Jews came out and blocked the Grand Plaza. It's called Grand Army Plaza, and 200 or 200 of them were arrested, chanting the word "Let Gaza live." So American Jews are involved with the movement that is to stop the genocide that's happening in Gaza as anybody else. The whole idea, the anti-Semitism is weaponized against these students to demonize them and make them look like monsters. Yeah, and you had these agitators who go there and try to provoke a response every single time they fail. And at the end, we saw what happened. The people who actually used violence were the supposedly victim Jews who were being victimized. There would be anti-Semitism. They were not allowed to go to their school. They attacked them in the middle of the night. The police failed to protect these people. The whole idea is, you have to understand, American campuses, any college campuses, are the breaking ground for change in any society. The Arab Spring took fire and changed almost the whole Arab world from college campuses and college students. But for us to gang up on them, the media, unable to mention last night as they went into to what do you call that hall, unable to mention the word Gaza. Or they even said they renamed the hall Hind Hall. A Palestinian woman who was killed in Gaza. She's a 6-year-old girl who was killed by the ADF, and it's a fucking sad story if you look into it. The whole idea is the message. These students have a message. They didn't want nonviolence. They were in camping. They were eating potato chips and things of that nature. There was no anti-Semitism intended. That was just used as
Okay.
weaponized by the forces, the three evil forces in our society: the media, the economic elites, and what's that? What's the other one? What is that? Help me.
Look, it's your conspiracy.
Is it
I don't
banking?
know, man.
Huh? Well,
Is it banking?
no,
Media?
is the media?
Is it Hollywood?
Hold
Is the
on.
third one Hollywood?
Hold on. Relax, boy. Relax.
Is it the media elites?
It's corporate media, the
Are
economic.
they
elites.
disproportionately represented by a certain demographic?
Go take a
Oh
shit.
wow, that's Connor's going full boomer conservatoid now. Everything I don't like
I'm
is
just asking.
anti-Semitism. Nice.
You know, there seems to be some correlation between the groups that you're referencing.
No, not every criticism of an elite is anti-Semitism, is it?
Yeah,
Joe
yeah.
Biden is the president.
Yeah,
He's a
hold on.
Catholic. Does that mean the fucking Vatican rule? No, come on.
Yes,
Yeah, the
I
Supreme
wish.
Court's are mostly
Yeah,
Catholic.
yeah.
You're not saying you're right. You're right there, Logan. The whole idea is
Mhm.
the economic elites, the media elites, and the political elites. They got together and demonized these students and turn them. All of a sudden, they wake up as fucking anti-Semites. All of a sudden, they hate Jews. They're attacking Jews. These are students who are going every day with these students. They're friends. There are Jewish students inside these encampments. This is what drove me crazy. The whole idea was to dilute the message because anything that is criticism of
Okay.
Israel, it's no good. Go
We
ahead.
gotta get it to the open discussion now, buddy. So I'm
Okay.
gonna
I'll
I'm
listen.
gonna I'm gonna pass it off,
Can I
right, and
ask
let
a question to
responses.
the
Go
to the
ahead.
folks on the other side here? Um, so I'm willing to concede all kinds of stuff to you guys. Really, I'm not the hardliner here. I just think it's fine to bring in the police to keep order. But I'm curious to the two of you, how much property damage do you think is reasonable at a protest? Again, I'm good faith. How much property damage is acceptable?
I mean, I sort of don't give that much of a fuck as long as it's not like a structural damage to a building. If it's a bit of graffiti, it can be cleaned off.
I'm
don't
happy to
really
give
care.
examples, but I'm talking like dollar value. Like, at what point is somebody allowed to say you've caused enough property damage that we need to?
That's a sc-
Well, I mean, I don't know that I would put a dollar value on any of that. To be honest with you, I mean, if they've got many millions of dollars to be spending on these horrific things in Israel, I don't see that they can't afford to clean a bit of fucking graffiti off. Like,
Just
for me,
yeah, they have
for me,
shit
it's
up.
a matter
Really
of
cool.
For me, it's
the entire quad, right?
Fuck it
Like,
up.
well, to be fair, a lot of these institutions are essentially fucking wealth funds with a library. I mean, they've got a lot of fucking money, actually.
Fuck their shit
A
up.
lot of
Yeah,
these
yeah.
organizations are.
Yeah, the
No,
law
I'm not
doesn't
saying
apply to
fuck-
them. We can do
I'm
whatever
not
they
saying
want
fuck
to them.
anything up, but I'm saying the idea that the police are going to go in and do less damage is an interesting
To
notion,
property?
frankly.
yes, they do.
Well, the police don't do any damage to property during any.
They
of
might
this,
kick
no?
some doors in. Do you think they're going to graffiti and shit on the walls and spray paint things?
You ever see them?
No, but they probably will brutalize a lot of people and escalate the situation. Yeah.
Escalate the
What tends to
situation. So
happen.
the situation being human beings barring other people from using public facilities and basically
Or just
damaging property.
I mean, I don't know if people having a drum circle is necessary that you need riot police.
It's all just drum circles. That's what I've been watching for the past couple of days. Yeah.
Well, no, I've seen agitators going in there and trying to cause fucking
Right,
firing,
they're probably
firing
all far
fireworks
right.
at people.
Whenever somebody says
Firing
something anti-Semitic, they're probably far right. They're not even leftist.
No, I'm not even talking about with inside the camp. I'm saying say at UCLA.
No, you guys are right. The lefties
you
don't
had
do anything
people
wrong.
outside.
No, but is it not
At what
fair?
point have I ever said that they don't do anything wrong? Stop being.
They
a
didn't do
bitch
anything
about it.
wrong.
Jesus
No,
Christ.
the cops are going to
This is
do worse.
pathetic.
The cops are going to do worse than the protesters
have
who are
already
damaging
done-
property. Yeah,
Cops have already
you're right.
done fucking worse.
Kevin.
They've
Oh,
already
because they
brutalized,
arrested
60-year-old
people.
professors.
Oh,
Yeah.
they gave somebody anxiety by arresting them. This is worse than property
No, They
damage.
physically
Oh.
brutalized fucking old professors and shit.
Oh.
That's what I'm talking about.
2020.
Oh.
Hold on. 2025 is coming, and then we're gonna have the election. If it doesn't come out, we're gonna have a lot of douchebags like Connor come out to protest, and the police gonna beat them up. These people are happy when the state is using power to suppress the freedom of expression. It's going to work both ways. If you're silenced today on the kids in Colombia, tomorrow you're going to be silenced on the people in Hawaii or whatever, or in Washington D.C.
This is what the dissident right said 5 years ago. I didn't give a fuck then, and I don't give a fuck now. You guys are literally using alt-right playbook bullshit from fucking 5 years ago in order to say there's no problems with your fucking
It's
protests.
called freedom. It's a First Amendment. We have the right to express.
You absolutely have the right to express yourself
What
in
damage
ways
was
that
that?
basically
What
don't
damage?
damage property
There
and
was
don't
no
commit
damage,
crimes.
bro.
Yeah, you're right.
They put the chairs against the door. You know who damaged? The police. They broke the window.
Okay, so hold on. So Kevin Logan, you're saying that I'm being hyperbolic by saying that you guys are saying that nothing is happening. However, he's literally saying right now that there's no damage, there's no problems.
Well, I can't-
you
I
you
can't
said
say
you
what
said it
another
was
person said.
agitators that it wasn't, it wasn't protesters, it was agitators. So
There
so
have been
who am I
agitators
supposed to?
undoubtedly in there, yes. Yeah.
Okay, so
I'm not
who am I
suggesting-
supposed? So who am I supposed to blame?
can't-
The kids
Why?
got beat- the
What
kids
do you
got
mean?
beat up
Blame
like
for
that.
what
They
exactly?
attacked him.
Okay,
UCLA
hey,
last
what
hang
am
on,
I
hang on,
asking?
hang on, Kevin. Again,
Yeah.
offering an olive branch to keep the conversation moving, so it's not just screaming. Would
Please
it not
do.
be fair to say that if it's just drum circles, right, that having police there also protects the drum circles from agitators, right?
And if
That's the entire
police
point that I'm
ever
making, is that you bring
protected-
the police in
It
early
ever
so that
protected
there isn't
proper
already a
actual
clash
peaceful
going on.
protest. The police will protect Nazis that go fucking marching. They're not going to protect pro-civil rights campaigners. That doesn't really fucking happen. They brutalise them. They'll go in and arrest them. Fuck it. If it's the FBI, they might fucking kill
They've
them. Who
barricaded
knows?
themselves in a building. Yes, they're coming to arrest them when they're literally having a
they were-
fist fight
Hang
over
on,
the
hang on.
UCLA quad. They're going to come in and
No. That hasn't just happened in barricaded buildings. They've had like 60-year-old professors who were just standing in
interfering
the
with
way.
an arrest.
These were protests.
Everyone they've
protests,
arrested
but
has been
they
a
were just
60-year-old professor, or did you find the most weak, feeble, bitch-made fucking body that you could on video in order to complain about?
The Texas police.
Oh, hang on, the police are the
women
ones that went and
with a
brutalised those
woman.
motherfuckers. They seem to find the weakest body they could go in.
Oh,
Yeah.
so if I come back and I show you that fucking video of like some random fucking protester falling down to the ground where you don't see the fucking first 10 seconds of the interaction, where it's like an Israeli woman who allegedly got her fucking head stomped in by protesters, are you guys going to come up with 10,000 excuses for why that was okay?
No, when did this happen? What's this?
Kevin.
So just real quick, just to interject again, we don't know if this has happened. This is a rumor that happened. So the whole this ties into the UCLA thing. So I think it's good for my audience to kind of know the lore, if you will, as we understand it. Keep in mind, it's a fluid situation. Take everything I'm going to say with a grain of salt because I'm not sure on it. I want to make that clear. I want to let me finish.
Okay,
Oh,
good.
God damn it. Okay.
Take it.
So again, just let me put this out there that please, this is unverified. I don't know. But this is what the narrative is. That there was a Jewish woman who was beaten unconscious at the UCLA protest. She went to the emergency room. Her community got together, got about 100, 200 people, and they went to retaliate at the UCLA protesters. And that was what was the instigating incident of the brawl. Now, that said, even if that's all true, which I don't know if it is, that could have just simply been a rumor. We don't know. But even if that's true, that's vigilante justice, and that's not okay. And to Principal's point, would not have police presence there been pretty helpful in that case? Go ahead, Kevin.
I don't see. Well, I mean, to protect an individual, if that is the case, is fine. Yes, but
No, I'm talking about along the
Like the
protest,
protesters?
keep the brawl from happening last night.
Where the
when the
Israeli counter
vigilante-
protesters
yeah,
showed up with
okay.
fireworks and launched it into the protester thing and started
Yeah.
ripping down barricades
I do
and beating
remember,
shit
yeah.
out of people. Do you think
Yeah,
cops would have been a
well,
better development or a worse development?
I mean, they probably would have been better in that situation. Were the police even there at the time or
They
not?
were there.
Again,
Well,
They
I
were.
think they didn't show up because they were basically like, "Yeah,
I
fuck
watched
it,
it
you
happen in
deserve
real
it."
time last night. Wick can tell you I was hitting
fuck
his
it, you
DMs because I
deserve
was
it.
freaking out
Well,
watching
there you
people
go.
get hurt.
To protect and serve. Fuck it, you deserve it. So I'm just.
Well,
gonna let it
you
happen.
said that you didn't want them.
Brilliant.
You said you didn't
Do
want
I
them.
make the decisions? Am I being paid by the people of California?
You're pretty
No.
representative of the leftist attitude on cops. We don't want you.
No,
You make the
but-
situation
no,
worse.
no.
Okay, we make the situation worse. Go fuck yourself. It's your problem now.
I'm not the one being paid by the taxpayers of California to serve and protect. The police.
Yeah,
of
I'm pretty
California
sure the
are.
community. I'm pretty sure the college probably said, "Hey,
I'm sorry.
you guys
the
are going to
police
make
only
it
gonna
worse, so
protect you
don't
if you're
go."
nice. The police are only going to protect you if
No,
you're nice
if
to
you
the
tell
police.
them not to go and they don't show up, why the fuck are you complaining?
No.
It's fucking telling that when
okay,
the,
it's
when
not.
the police
no,
are showing up to
from my
Columbia, when the
perspective,
police are
Connor,
showing up
you don't
to...
stop trying to dunk on stuff, right? I'm trying to say, from the perspective of the Californian police in UCLA or whatever fucking district it is, right? If they're there to protect and serve, why is it that the people anywhere, me, the people of California, or anything else, why do they have to be nice to the police for the police to do their fucking jobs?
You just said that they make it worse.
They don't. They don't.
do.
They make it
No,
worse.
that's ridiculous. There's
Hey,
all
let's
kinds
pass it to PMB. I hear you, Omar. We'll get you in a sec. Let's pass it to principals, and then we'll go to Omar. Principals, go ahead.
There is all kinds of video of police officers being perfectly professional with people screaming in their faces. Where you see the instances where people are getting actually pushed around by police, you can always find a video from the exact same event from a different angle that shows somebody throwing something at the police or shoving a police officer.
So can I just? It's very easy to turn the thing back around you and say, well, so the police never do anything wrong then?
No, of course
Is that your
not.
argument?
The point is that we have a court system for that. If you're wronged by the police, go to the courts. And look, if you have no faith in any pillars of society, I don't know what to tell you, bud.
Yeah, listen. Don't turn the debate to anti-police. We have no issue with the police. The police could be in that area.
Oh, I fucking do.
Hold
I'm
on.
just going to say it openly.
No,
I do.
but the police should be present in that area to protect both the agitators
Yes.
and the people in the camping. The only issue we have with the police is when they went in with pepper spray and started throwing people upside down and dragging them. That's the issue we have. They should not have entered that place. We don't have no issue with the police. I don't have no issue with the police. I pay a lot of taxes where I live just for the protection of the police. The problem is that they wanna steal again. They want to steal the message. The message is to divest from investment in apartheid Israel, where they have murdered more than 40,000 men, women, and children.
And that's fine, but
Thank
the
And
speech
I
from the
salute
other
these kids. I salute every single one of them. And if I could, I will watch.
You
every
can
single
can
of them.
salute them, but let's let principals respond to you
Yeah,
before you
principal.
do all the
Please
saluting of
do.
the
Please
40,000. That
agree.
might take a while.
The
Go ahead.
thing is, there is speech that's being silenced from other people. That there are other people who are saying, that's fine, can you please go home for one night? Right?
Why?
In most of these instances, the issue that's causing these confrontations is that they're being told to disperse. They're not being told they can't come back. They're not even being told they can't come back tomorrow. They're just being told you have to go away for right now.
The police have
That's
been
it.
told-
Just go away.
The police
And
have
if
been,
they weren't,
the police have been
Go ahead.
asked to stay there until the 17th of this month. So it's a lie.
Go
It's a lie.
go
yes.
ahead. Finish your point, principals, and then you
Yeah,
guys can respond. I promise.
well, no. So, like I already gave you that, I think that the first instance that I saw of tear gas was unjustified. To the best of my knowledge, I only saw one that specifically included pepper spray, and I'm not sure how I feel about that one because we had already started to see things escalating. And the whole point I've been making is that you bring it in when you can use the least force possible and just get everybody back to baseline.
The reason
Um,
the reason they went into that hole is because they commemorate the 50th year of 1968. When they went, Columbia students went into that same hole to protest. 700 students went into that same hole to protest the Vietnam War. That time they were not pretty. They were
Yes,
beat up.
and they got arrested.
And they got beat up. They were considered troublemakers. The same thing you guys are saying about them, and they were right. And these students.
Well, I mean, look,
these
during the
students-
60s protests, they also had like fucking bombs going off
Yeah, but
on
these
campus
the
and things like
students.
that. They were like literally bombs. So it's a
The other
different.
thing is that was 700 arrests in 1968. When we're talking about last night, that was 100, and that's between
The issue
Columbia
here-
and that's
This is-
between Columbia and City University.
This is-
I'll be ultra generous and say only one person got arrested at City University. You think there were only 99 people at that protest? Almost everybody could just go home.
200 got arrested, Jewish Americans just outside in Brooklyn on the street. We're not saying that. I mean, the whole idea is the message there. These students were not bothering anybody. They were encamped in the park.
Yes, they were.
That's
There were
obviously
people saying
not
that they were
true.
being bothered.
That's
Where were they
obviously
encamped?
not
In the
true.
hallways? Where in the hallways of they were outside in the street. I'm from New York City. You could see them right there. You could walk over there. You could.
Yeah, but
Yeah. Protesters did nothing. They did nothing wrong. As a matter of fact, they weren't disruptive. They were inside their houses doing a Discord call protest. Nobody should have gotten arrested. I agree with you.
Connor's
Yeah.
attitude is the perfect.
My
example
attitude
of
is
the
you
fact
keep
that there
saying
is not-
retarded shit, and I'm supposed to contend with it.
Yeah, you're very big for saying slurs against disabled people. That's super cool.
Thanks.
You're the perfect example of the kind of dictum on the left. I think that there is no way in which you can protest structures of power that have the kind of political and economic weight of force behind them that will ever be tolerated. It was the same with the Vietnam War. There was no Vietnam War protest that would ever have been acceptable to the Nixon administration. They were going to clamp down on them regardless because they were just never going to accept their demands. It was never going to happen, and they were never going to even fucking talk to them about it. They were going to go in and brutalise. And the same is true, I think, of this protest movement as well.
So
unless you sit nice and quiet in the corner, not making any disruption and whispering nicely, then you might be allowed to protest in that way. But other than that, they're going to fucking
no. Hold on. Let me agree with. Let me say something. I agree with Kevin Logan. I think he's right. I think that disruptive protests are the kind of things that we make illegal, and therefore, if you're inconvenient to the powers that be, then you're going to get fucked. You're going to get arrested. You're going to get expelled. You're going to get all that kind of stuff. And as I said in my intro, hold on, shut up. During my intro, shut up. So before I said him, shut up. So as I was saying in my intro, if you're going to take extra legal and extra procedural courses of action, you have to be willing to suffer you have to be willing to suffer legal and procedural consequences. It is the way that it is. If you want a functioning society, then that's what it is.
And that's exactly it.
The same students.
When people took a knee,
You're all trying to talk at once. No one can hear either one of you, by the way, when you all talk over each other. Just letting you know.
The same students protested against South Africa in the 80s, and they were ridiculed. They were the same thing. They were attacked. They were considered as agitated. They were considered as communists, socialists, whatever you want to call them. Even Reagan did not want to condemn the South African apartheid state. And the same thing, and they changed the world through the diverse program. That's what they're trying to do. You people say, "Oh, the Palestinians only know how to do is terrorism." No, they don't. They want to just use sanctions, diverse sanctions, to bring Israel to the table to make a peace settlement.
Yeah, October 7th. Those were some beautiful sanctions.
Well,
yeah.
I mean, you see, this is the idiots. The Americans are the most motherfucking.
So,
You keep
quick
saying
question.
stupid shit, and then you call other people idiots. I don't get it.
3 days before October 7, Israeli killed about 53 Palestinians with an air attack. 250 Palestinians were killed in the West Bank before October 7, the same year. So not everything is October 7. There's a history before October 7. There's a history, you fucking idiot. You know what I'm saying? You're a fucking idiot. And
We're going to bring it back.
Yeah. So what I do.
When it comes to foreign policy.
Yeah. What I like to do. What I like to do. Yep. So when 250 of my countrymen are killed, during struggles over territory, what I like to do is I like to walk into the most powerful military neighbor I have and slaughter 1,000 civilians and then expect no consequences. I think that's a genius geopolitical, geostrategic fucking move. I think it was fucking brilliant.
Okay. Before we get any further, we're going to mute both of you so you stop going down this rabbit hole. Okay, we good? We settled? Then we're going to unmute you just so we can get some back on track. I get it, but this is more than just another Israel-Palestine debate. We're going to be talking about the campus protest specifically. I understand, but we got to go into the specifics of what's been happening on the campuses. So I just wanted to have a question. I got one question for each side, but I'll start with the Kevin's side first. This is to Omar and Kevin. So you mentioned disruptive protests are necessary in order to make sure that your voice is heard, to be unacceptable to those in power, and that's on purpose, etc. How much collateral damage are we okay with? So how many students who aren't involved in the administration aren't involved in these things? One of the major criticisms of these protests is that the students who pay tuition to go to these schools have been deprived of the ability to study in peace, to take their finals in peace, to access the library on their campus. We have videos of Jewish people being barred from entering the library on campus, etc. How much collateral damage is okay?
Can we be a bit more honest about that? When you say they're Jewish people, are they being barred because they're Jewish or because they're agitators or what? What's going on there?
Zionists. They support the state of Israel. They deserve it.
Are they literally people on the outside wearing fucking Nazi armbands saying Juden? Or is it actually because these people are antagonistic to the group that are there.
Yeah, and how do
Well,
they-
usually it's because they're
Do they
Zionists.
think
not
that's a
have a
fair-
right to
I
be
think that's a fair
antagonistic
way
to a
of-
group that's barring them from their educational facilities?
Okay, well, okay, but don't
Kevin
expect them to
Omar,
treat
shut
you
the
fucking
fuck up.
nicely, then I guess.
So hold on. So if somebody is obeying the law and if somebody is disobeying the law and the cops come in and mediate the
Yes, and I know,
situation,
yeah,
are they
the
supposed to
law is
arrest both
perfect.
parties?
I know. You as an ex-police officer, the law is perfect in every conceivable fucking way.
That's
Yeah,
not what I said
absolutely.
at all. As a
No,
matter of fact,
yeah,
what's
you
happening
don't.
is you guys
You
keep
should
saying
always
that what's
obey the
happening
law.
is not
Hey.
happening. And then you say that it's a good thing that it's happening.
It's not as if the only
Mr.
real human advances we get is when people step outside of the law or anything like that. No, if you just follow the law, you will make revolutionary change. Definitely.
I don't
Yeah,
want you to make
so-
revolutionary change.
Is,
I think the change you're aiming for is fucking
The
dumb.
question for Kevin and Omar, can you shut the fuck up? a
Yeah,
second?
peace in the Middle East is super dumb. Yeah, no, I quite
Yeah,
agree.
the whole
Yeah.
idea
I
is
agree.
that once a great man once said, right is the language of the unheard. Right, the guy said it, and he was a very famous man called Martin Luther King. Protesting.
Yeah, suicide bombing, the language of the unheard.
Listen, motherfucker, you bomb a whole block, but you fucking worried about some crazy motherfucker who blew up a mosque. They were killing more Arabs and Muslims than they were killing.
Oh,
What's wrong with you?
Yeah,
Oh,
guess
stop
what?
fighting.
So hold on. So we'll do this
Stop
again.
fighting.
95% of the casualties in the war on terror are Muslims killing Muslims, not Americans killing Muslims. So it's your fucking problem. You just complained about it 20 seconds ago.
What does that have to do? I'm talking about Martin Luther King and you jumped to the
How
Middle
about we
East.
answer
You
my
have a-
question?
Go ahead.
You have a problem
I
with
made a
fucking
joke.
Arabs, you fucking pussy. You're a fucking pussy.
Yeah,
Okay?
yeah, I got a
Careful.
problem.
What's the
Careful
problem?
with
What's
the
that? What, excuse
I
my
just-
language. Well,
I got
No,
I got
you're
a
fine with the
problem.
language. I just don't want to go for it. That's pussy is fine
hold
to
on.
say, but just
So I got a problem. Let me
I
articulate my
see
problem.
it going up, and I want to make
my
sure we don't
problem-
miss that.
my problem-
I want to respond.
You asked me a question.
No, I don't ask you a question. Fuck it. I don't. You trying to hijack the conversation?
Okay,
You're trying to turn it
you go
into,
first.
Terrorism and all this bullshit. You're always trying to hijack the message and they were trying to prevent Jewish kids, anti-Semitism. They beat up our
Okay,
Jewish women. It
stop.
has nothing. It has
Answer my
nothing.
question, Omar. We don't need the. We don't need
Hang on, hang on.
the.
Protest.
Can I
Protest.
Can I try to ask?
The idea of protesting is supposed to make people uncomfortable. This is what it is. You can't go in your
Okay,
house
so
and
my
protest.
question is specifically, how many of these, for lack of a better word, uninvolved civilian college people who aren't down with the protest or just ambivalent, neutral to the protest, how many of those is it okay to inconvenience in a protest before you think that the protest has gone too far? 10,
depends.
100, 1,000. What do we think?
It depends on, I suppose, and each individual makes their own analysis of this. It depends how
Yeah, I'm
seriously
asking
you
yours.
think the problem is, right? So, for instance, Colombia or whoever, if they're invested in arms manufacturers, people would see that as pretty fucking serious. And you would argue that, say, the manufacturing of those bombs has certainly disrupted the learning of the people of Palestine far more than the people of Colombia.
Certainly, but how many people
So
who go to
you
Colombia
could
who aren't
make
involved in
the
those
argument that
processes?
they're very temporary potential infringement. And again, in the era of Zoom and all the rest of it, I really don't think it's that much of a fucking problem, actually.
Whoa,
I think
whoa,
you
whoa,
can
hold
do
on.
online learning lessons for a brief period of time. It's not ideal for a whole fucking semester or for a whole 3-year course or whatever.
So are you
But
in
if
favor, hold on.
there are ways in which you can get around that in a way that it wouldn't have been, say, back in the 60s or whatever, when, by
Certainly.
the way, the same fucking things were happening during the Vietnam War, and by people like Martin Luther King,
So,
who's now lauded for
do you
his
think that the police
peaceful rhythm,
responded,
whereas actually he was fucking hated during his lifetime because he disrupted things, because he didn't always advocate entirely peaceful fucking or entirely legal means, did he?
So,
and it's the same thing I think will
just be
happen
clear.
with these
But Omar,
protests.
before you
They'll
respond,
be viewed very
I have
differently
a
in the
clarifying
future than they are
question
now.
for Kevin. I have a clarifying question for Kevin. So, just to be clear, then, that you don't think that the cops should have been called on the Colombian protesters. Is that correct?
I think if you occupy buildings, that becomes a different thing. And,
Okay, so you are kind of okay with that?
I would still advocate a hopefully a peaceful solution. And there are ways I think
As far as I know, no one's hurt.
I think Harvard, for instance, came to the solution where there isn't an immediate thing. They're going to have a vote on this divestment at some point in the future, and that seems to have dispersed some of the problem there. I think there are ways in which you can talk through these problems that doesn't need the police to necessarily get involved. But if that ultimately comes down to it and there are buildings occupied, then the police go in. But if people are fucking camping on a bit of grass, It doesn't seem like that's actually a threat to anybody, really. And
I agree, and that's why I think when they called the police on Texas, that was uncalled for.
Yeah.
But when they called the police on the Colombian protesters who were occupying a building, maybe we have a different.
I think they could have negotiated.
Right?
True, but I think, to be honest with you, from what I've seen of the leadership of the Columbia University, and again, I don't know these people personally, of course, but it seems like they're being pretty fucking intransigent in terms of talking to their student body about these issues. Again, a lot of this stuff can be talked out in a way, even if you don't necessarily concede to the event. You can use it as a pressure release valve of talking to people and getting some fucking opinions on stuff and maybe dispersing some of the crowd. Now, some of the hardcore might remain. And there's definitely some larpy fucking douchebags amongst them that will fucking stick through to the end. But you can deal with a much smaller number in a much more reasonable way than if you have riot police wading into a group of 1,000
So,
people.
do you think that the police should have been called during the January 6th protests when the protesters were occupying the Capitol building?
They were, to be fair, they were calling verbally and openly to murder the vice president. So I would argue there's a significant step up in threat, immediate threat.
Wick, I think that's shameful.
Yep, now is your chance to shine. Then we're going to go to principals, and then we'll compare.
I think that's shameful that you compare January 6th to the students in Colombia. The January 6th, they were trying to overthrow the government of the United States. Hold on. You had 535 senators and congressmen and the vice president of the United States. You had the whole government of the United States inside this building they were attacking. And you're saying they should have called the army and the Marines. And so you think, let's say 5,000 Arabs and blacks were running. You know, we would have been all dead that day. You understand? They would throw the atomic bomb on us, who was that day. This is two different.
Everybody remember the summer of 2020 where we bombed all the black protests?
It's two different things. Do you understand? Yeah,
Black bag.
No, it's not. It's exactly what you said the fuck it was.
I just go fuck yourself. These are
Black bag. Plenty of them.
Yeah, go fuck yourself.
Brutalized loads of them.
Now you hate black people. Now you have an issue.
I love all sorts of people.
Omar,
You're just playing the race card and I don't give a fuck because you're a fucking idiot.
You keep on talking about race. What's wrong with you, man? You're racist or what? You're closet racist? What's wrong with you?
Omar,
sure, if that makes you feel fucking better, you fucking idiot.
Omar, stop biting on the
We're
pipe.
not talking about BLM. Why are you gonna put the hold on? He's doing that. He's a racist.
Because you just said that. Okay, let me walk you through it. You be quiet. I'll walk you through the logic. You be quiet. I'll walk you through the logic. I'll walk you through it. I'll walk you through it.
Both of you be quiet. Let counterpoints walk you through because I'm curious his logic too. I want to know what counterpoints.
No, I'll write it down. I'll wait for him to be done. I'll be the polite adult. I'll write it down.
Oh, you're the racist. You cannot compare what's going on in Colombia. These are what happened on January 6th. On January 6th, they were. It was a different animal.
Both groups occupied a building. Both groups had portions of the crowd who were calling for the death of others.
Was the whole government of the United States stuck in Columbia College yesterday?
No, but I think the government should protect its normal citizens and not just its politicians.
If they had got to those senators and those congressmen, imagine what was going to happen.
I'm absolutely clear, and I think that what happened to the January 6th protesters should have happened to the January 6th protesters. Sure, I agree.
They were trying to prevent the peaceful.
I agree, it was bad.
Who is calling for the?
That is the craziest shit I ever heard. You're gonna give it to some idiots in Columbia College who are eating potato chips and.
Who is calling for the death?
The organizer of the protest said that he did not deserve. The Zionists did not deserve to live, and that we should.
When you say
thank him.
the organizer, is this the guy who's been?
Suspended and kicked them out,
He's
right?
been kicked.
He got expelled.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, exactly. So,
But there were other
the
people,
system
and
actually worked
I
on
can
that
link you.
occasion.
I can link you the
system
clips
worked
at
on that
Columbia of
occasion.
people
We
calling
had
for the death.
people. You had people violently break into the Capitol building with the verbal intent to murder the sitting Vice President of the United States. Having people chant from the river to the sea, which is at least ambiguous, some people might be anti-Semitic with it, I think a lot of people are not, is a significantly different and lower scale situation, okay?
Sure.
The idea that these two things are comparable is fucking nonsense.
They are comparable. There's different scales, but they are comparable.
Apples and oranges are both fruit.
Egging them on. And one of them has the current sitting United States president condemning them.
Okay, can I walk you guys through the joke I made? Can I walk you through the joke I made? I was patient for a few minutes. I would like to explain it. So what you said is you said if 5,000 blacks or Arabs charged the Capitol, they would have been nuked, implying that the United States federal government is so racist that they would use military force against ethnic minorities if they had done the same thing that whites had done.
Right away.
Okay, that's what you
Right
said.
away, 100%.
Okay. So me being a smartass and also thinking about recent current events, I remember that during the summer of 2020, we had dozens and maybe hundreds of protests that were largely in the name of black liberation and were significantly populated by black people. And to my knowledge, let me finish the sentence. To my knowledge, they were protesting, but some of them were riots. Some of them were absolutely riots.
Stealing sneakers and jeans. Fuck it. Everybody has insurance on that.
Oh yeah, nothing happened. Hold on, I'd like to finish my joke though. So I don't believe you. No. Hold on. I would like you to shut up so I can finish my joke. I would like you to shut up. So I waited patiently. I waited patiently for 3 minutes. I would like you to wait patiently for 3 minutes. Can you do me that favor? Okay, thank you. So my I don't give a fuck if you think I'm racist.
Don't let him distract you. Don't let him distract you. Just go with your point so we can get through this.
The point is, there were definitely episodes of violence in American streets that were largely black populated or motivated by black injustice, and there were no airstrikes and there was no military response. As a matter of fact, I would go ahead and challenge you both to come up with a law enforcement related homicide during either one of those events. So you can say they were brutalized, they were arrested, they were taken into jail, they were taken into custody, the riots were broken up, etc., etc. I doubt you can come up with a homicide during those committed by government forces.
You're still comparing fucking dumb shit to dumb shit. There was black riots.
No, I'm not. See, one of them was civil unrest, and one of them is civil unrest. Those are the same category. Those are the same category. They're not dissimilar at all.
Give him a chance. Give Omar a chance to respond. Go ahead, Omar.
I'll wait.
They were breaking into Best Buy and Nikes. They were stealing sneakers. They were not trying
You don't know how much I love Best Buy.
Well, shut the fuck up. They were not trying to attack the cradle of power.
My Best Buy is my cradle of power.
Well, you're a fucking idiot because you're probably a hick or something or a redneck. So the whole idea is the capital of the United States was under the capital, man. Do you know what it is? You know how dangerous that shit was? If people hit it in the street, if God forbid the American government collapsed, every fucking people will have their own militias running around rampant throughout the United States. It will unleash a power of fucking violence that will last 1,000 years, you dumb idiot, you redneck hickey. Is it hickey or hilly? I don't know.
Thanks.
It's not hickey, but that's hilarious. I want to move on a little bit. I want to move on. This was a good side quest.
I do just want to. You did challenge me to come up with one police killing. I would point to the Trump boasting about essentially sending police to go and execute an Antifa suspect.
Oh, you mean the Antifa suspect who bragged about murdering someone? Yeah. Okay, I'll take it. Oh yeah, sure.
Okay. It's okay for the police.
Right.
The police can act like Judge Dredd. Yeah, they've decided he's guilty, so they're going to go and kill him. Yeah.
Okay. Trump was talking shit, and allegedly he had a gun in the fucking car, and he already murdered somebody. So super duper. Yep. You came up with an example. It was terrible, but you did come up with an example. Yeah, he already killed someone. Yep.
Let's take a deep breath.
Yeah, but the police don't get to decide that, you fucking knob.
Yeah, you know what they do? As a matter of fact, I would like to pause. I would like 3 minutes. Yeah, sure. Sure. You finish your story. You finish your story, and
we're on another side quest, gang. We're on another side quest. If you're enjoying these side quests, make sure to subscribe to the channel.
I was about to say, can you?
But anyway, we're gonna give it to Kevin because Kevin's trying to get through, and we're gonna let Kevin finish his response.
I'm done. I've said my fucking.
Oh, you've said your piece. Then we're gonna pass it to Counterpoints to respond.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah, sure. So this is something where I think that people are either ignorant or they're intentionally stupid. So I'm going to go ahead and break this down. I would like 2 or 3 minutes for this.
Right there.
Anyways, so the point being that when somebody commits, so in order to use deadly force inside the United States, you have to be able to articulate that somebody is either of imminent threat of death or great bodily harm to themselves or others. By murdering another person on TV, that person has already met that threshold.
It's not been proven by the police.
Except
at that time.
for he was on, except for there's such things called warrants, which are based off of evidence, and the evidence basically had this guy confessing to doing the murder, and the murder was videotaped. You fucking idiot! I would like to be able to finish my concept. So anyways, so you're investigating. Okay, fine. As a matter of fact, because you're being a stingy asshole with zero charitability, I'll walk you through more stuff. We'll expand this side adventure.
Oh, bro, the American police really
hold on. So, you have somebody who commits a murder on video, then they admit to the murder on video later. They claim self-defense, but the entire video shows them. I'm not done yet. They walked up behind another human being. I'm not done yet. I would like you to shut up. They walk up behind a human being and they execute them. They shoot him in the back of the head. Okay, I want you to shut the fuck up. So he walks up and shoots somebody in the head. He admits to it on TV. So they create a warrant saying that this guy is a murder suspect and we're going to go arrest him. So we already know he has a gun. We already know that he has a gun. We already know that he murdered someone. And we already know that he confessed to it. And then the statement from law enforcement, true or not, true or not, is that when they went to go arrest him, he had a firearm in the car, he presented that firearm, and he was dead. Okay? That might seem like the cops fabricated evidence in order to kill this guy, but considering he already murdered someone in cold blood, it's not exactly a stretch for me. Okay. So I don't give a fuck about your example.
Police do get to just execute private citizens. Yeah, no, I quite agree.
Yeah, they get to execute murder suspects. They get to execute murder suspects who have a weapon and who are aiming it at law enforcement. Yes, they do get to do that per the law.
Cool, side quest over. Let's get back to the topic at hand. Great. So as I understand it, just so everyone knows, stop it, Omar, shut up. Okay. In these current round of protests, as I understand it, so far, aside from the UCLA event, which I believe multiple people were injured, I don't think anyone has died. At Columbia, during the raid by the police, no one was seriously injured. We have no record of that I have seen. And we have no record of anyone being killed or shot or anything like this. In my opinion, regardless of whether we think the cops should have been called or not, how do we think that the cops handled it last night? I'm just curious.
Where?
My opinion, remarkable restraint. But that's me. But I'm curious what you guys think. Go ahead.
They're supposed to show restraint. These are the law enforcement.
That's good. That's good that they did what they were supposed
to do. They did a great job.
No, hold on. The whole issue here, you're trying to hijack the... We're not saying that police officers are bad. Stop. Law enforcement is a necessary
Kevin's
element.
No,
law enforcement is a necessary...
I don't think you and Kevin agree.
It's a necessary element to protect the...
I would agree that it's necessary.
If something happens to my house, I want to call Ghostbusters. Stop with this bullshit, okay? We don't hate cops. The whole idea is we want to give Americans the right...
What would you say? My house is broken into. The police came around and did fuck all.
We want to give the American the right to do what no other nations do, is the freedom to give the middle finger to their own government. Listen, I come from a background where it's all tyrant. We don't have no self-expression. People used to disappear in the middle of the night. People just had accidents, unnecessary accidents. If you talk too much in college, they don't see you no more. So I could understand the beauty, the beautifulness in having this right that an American who was born here doesn't know its worth. So what I'm trying to say is those students could have negotiated with their own facility. It was a matter of time they're going to get tired, sitting there, no food. They were demanding food. They didn't even have food to eat. The whole idea is we want the police to be there outside, not inside, to protect both the people who are in cabinet and the people who are trying to attack them anyway. The police has to be there to protect because they have the same right to protection under the law.
Do you think that
Can I jump in here?
You may go ahead, principals, but I do have a question. And then at the top of the hour, we're going to read super chats, so get them in. Go ahead.
Well, no, because I like extending olive branches. I like what you're saying, Omar. But basically, I heard you say in there that they were asking for food. They have been in there for like 6 hours. Cut me some slack here on not taking that seriously, okay?
They need humanitarian aid.
That shows you that they're not dangerous. They're idiots.
Like, well, yeah, okay, there you go. They were idiots. Thank you.
We agree on that.
That was what I wanted to jump on.
I mean, they were kids, man.
No, just clarify.
Okay, college kids being dumb,
woman who
news
said
at
that is
11.
like
Got
27.
it. Okay.
She's a PhD candidate.
They are dreamers, man. They are dreamers. Yeah, these are the people who are our future leaders, man. They are giving voice to
Oh
the
God, I hope
voiceless.
not.
That's true.
Okay,
They're
let's
talking
go
for
sorry,
to the
There
you're a
are,
super
there are
chat.
some
PhD
larpy
they're
candidate and you're
talking
dipshits
for
calling
in there.
they're talking for 7.3 million Palestinians in Palestine. These are the people who are
Nope.
talking for
I'm going to
them.
There are
read my
some
super
larpy
chats.
dipshits involved.
Nope.
There's no
We're going to read
doubt.
the super chats right now. That's what we're going to do. We're going to read the super chats. We're going to make a little money.
Anytime.
And then we'll get back to the discussion. I promise you. Okay, we'll get there. But first, I'm going to make a little money. So get your super chats in, gang. I see them on Twitch. I see them on Kick. And I see them on YouTube. So here is one from Admiral Gibb. Omar and Kevin Logan are arguing that the KKK should be allowed to stop paying African American tuition holders from going to class while the KKK protests. Thank you.
Hilarious. Yeah, you're very fucking funny.
Cameraman 502 for
Logically
$5
true.
says Columbia University administration exercised its unlimited right to resist occupation. Thank you for the
That's what we're trying to
$5.
do with the Palestinians, see?
$5 from Zephyr Hash to say I will send you $30 throughout the debate if you mute Omar Fairleywick, like you should have muted him 4 times by now. Look,
Do
you
know
guys
what?
love the content.
What'd he say?
Let me. I will mute you, Omar, if you don't shut up while I'm reading my fucking super chats. But hey, only
oh,
He said mute you more often. That's
Jesus
what he
Christ,
said.
are we gonna get?
yeah, we're
Are we gonna get
mute
fucking?
him.
We're gonna get better moderation for the fucking super chats than the actual debate. Jesus.
Yes, we are, because this is what makes my money. $5 from
Fucking
Cameraman
hell.
502 to say the people making genocidal chants just want divestment from Israel. Sure. Thank you for the $5. 8 Australian whatever. I don't know if they call them dollars. Australia is not real.
Pounds.
Question for Omar. What mental hospital do you live in? I want to send you a care package and let the staff know you are desperately needing a hug. Thank you for the £8 things. I don't know. Zephyr Hash for $10. $10 from muting Omar. Thank you. And $5 from In Pursuit of Knowledge. Omar has a perfect example that being deprived of oxygen as a child doesn't stop you from being a Twitch streamer. Thanks, Omar.
Rude.
Okay, that said, let's get back to the concept at hand. I want to talk about free
I'm the
speech.
money man right here. See, everybody hates you. They have to
Apparently.
hate me.
I want to talk about free speech for a moment. And I want to ask, like, were these examples of free speech or were these overstepping by the campus protesters, specifically at Columbia and at UCLA? Let's use those two as an example. Those are probably the most controversial of the protests that I'm aware of, at least. So, again, I want to toss this first to principals, and then counterpoints, and then the other side gets to go. Go ahead. What do you think? Free speech?
Again, I think you have to break it down incident by incident, and the timeline is important, right? And the other thing, I want to.
I guess, where does it stop being free speech, in your opinion?
I think it stops being free speech when you're trampling other people's right to share the public commons. That's basically my bright dividing line. That's why I want the police there in the first place.
Yeah.
Make sure that if somebody else wants to assert their opinion back, they have the ability to do that. It's supposed to be content neutral. So if they're having an unapproved protest that says, we support XYZ, and the other group wants to, stage a counter protest that says we think that that's genocidal, right? You know what? I'm content neutral. If you're allowed, if one's allowed, the other one's allowed. You just have to basically take turns.
You think the people at the Woolworth counter that were beating up black people when they ordering coffee was allowed? It's the same thing. You have the blacks.
What the hell does that have to do with what I just said?
Well, he said that the people, the opposite, have the right to be there. So at Woolworth, when black people are ordering food and getting smacked around by
no, to have the same right to peaceful protest, not the right.
It's not that you don't want no fights. The whole idea is to prevent violence. If you want to protest, counter protest, go someplace far away, a little bit far away, and do your own shit. You don't have to talk to each other.
But the point is, we're talking about other Columbia students who are saying we don't agree with you, and we would appreciate it if you would leave.
They were trying to provoke a moment. They were trying to provoke some anti-Semitism shit. They wanted to get some Jewish kid beat up. They said,
I cannot say, hang on, I cannot say enough times you can come back. Come back tomorrow. Just go home today.
Why they should come back? Why? I mean, this is the whole idea is to force a conversation.
Because they have the right to speak too.
They wanted to negotiate with the college for divestment issue. They wanted to see where the money.
Your side said earlier that the point is to be disruptive and make people uncomfortable.
Yeah,
if
but,
you keep coming back, you're still doing that.
You know, but these people.
There's a reason it's called time, place, and manner. Okay.
These people were sitting in one spot. I tell you who was disruptive. The other American Jews who went to Brooklyn, they blocked traffic, and they were chanting, "Let Gaza live." These are Jewish Americans for what is it called? I think it's Voice for Peace, and they got arrested. They were disruptive. Yeah, disruptive traffic, and they all got arrested. The whole idea, ladies and gentlemen, is these people were giving voice to the voiceless. Hold on. Don't you notice all the protests and demonstration is all in the Western world? All the Arab streets are quiet. Nobody's allowed to demonstrate. Don't you guys get the idea? There's something wrong here that in Arab world are not allowed to go out and protest. College campuses in Arab world are scared. Not even only Yemen, because we're fucking crazy. I mean, we're shooting at missiles all over the place. We go out, but don't you notice that Western society is saying this is not our value. What's going on over there with our money and our weapon does not represent us. We don't want to be part of that, what's going on over there. We don't want to support what's going on over there. We don't want to give more bombs, what's going on over there. We don't want to see no more death and destruction.
I understand, okay? Omar, that's the protest, but that's not what we're talking about.
Protesters, I get it. We totally forgot that there are some people who actually nut up and take the responsibility to take the consequences when they want to speak.
Okay, we're not saying nothing. They went to jail.
Being asked to move is not an imposition on you.
They didn't get executed. What the fuck? They're all home.
But hold on, Principals. No, let me interrogate this because me and Principals have a disagreement here. If I am going to continually ask you to move, right? Continually ask you, well, you can't protest here. Nope, this is inconvenient. You can't protest here. At what point does that become too much of an imposition on your free speech? It can't be we can ask you to move continuously until you're only in your home. There has to be a limit, correct?
Of course. So
if someone isn't obstructing,
you think about this from the perspective of Columbia
let me finish.
University.
Sure, but let me finish. If we have protesters who aren't obstructing, and I'm not saying they weren't, right? We've seen videos of them doing this, but say they weren't. They weren't obstructing walkways. They weren't obstructing access. They weren't destroying property. They weren't hurting or being violent. They may have been loud to some extent, right, where they're chanting during the daytime and things like that. Why call the police, or why have the police, more specifically, why have the police make arrests in that case? If they're not obstructing,
whoa. Nobody said arrest them.
Or hurting.
Nobody said arrest them.
Did you see the president?
But the protests, but they were being arrested.
People have said arrest.
No, they get arrested when they throw bottles at police officers, and then when they interfere with that person getting arrested.
Do you think?
No, but plenty of people have called for their being arrested, and I'm not just talking random people. I'm talking like members of Congress have called for people not throwing bottles at police officers to be arrested.
That's irresponsible. Like, I'm not defending that. What do you want me to say?
I agree. Yeah, no, I'm just saying, when you say no one's calling for them to be arrested, I'm saying very powerful people are calling for them to be arrested.
No, but he's posing that question to me specifically. Like, when did you hear me advocate for that?
Okay, yeah,
I said they have to go home. That's not being arrested. And for pity's sake, I sent you the sentencing recommendations last night for the people who were arrested at Columbia. Virtually everybody is getting off with a slap on the wrist. Almost everyone who got arrested is getting. There's one category. The people who were arrested outside are getting basically a fix-it ticket.
That's all it is.
Because they're fucking rich kids. Yeah, they'll be alright.
Yeah, exactly. And the people who are arrested inside the building, the people who are arrested inside the building are potentially facing another fix-it ticket situation. So you're still allowed to be in the category of you're just a dipshit, but they're also now facing a Class A misdemeanor and a Class D felony.
The only tough guys were the
Hold on.
Just one word.
Omar, you went off on a rant for a while. We got to get the ball to other people.
All right.
We got to have more back and forth.
Diversity,
Let's pass the ball to Counterpoints because he hasn't answered my question at all.
Make any sense anyway, so.
Anyways, so this is all free speech. So I'm good with all of it. The thing is, if we're talking about content, I think that the line has got to be like specific calls for violence, right? So I think that general calls for violence, even if they meant from the river to the sea in a genocidal way, okay, it's fucked up. We should criticize them. We should criticize them with our speech. Okay.
Can I
But
say
once you start
something?
criminalizing all that shit, hold on. Once you criticize, once you say, oh, from the river to the sea is genocidal language, it's
No,
harmful,
it's
we
not.
can't speak
No,
it
it's not.
anymore, then at that time, hold on, holy shit. Then at that time, the Zionist project from a certain perspective becomes genocidal because they're talking about taking territory and dispossessing people of land and moving them off of their territory and doing settlements and all that kind of shit.
And
So
can I
then
say
you
so
just can't even have the conversation because you have two sides of an important issue that is deserving of analysis that can't talk about it because if they take a hard stance, it's necessarily violent or genocidal, and then you can't have any kind of conversation whatsoever. So this is all fine in the public discourse. What I said before at the beginning of the conversation, what I will say again, is that if you want to talk in the public square at a certain assigned place, okay, awesome. If you want to do extra legal or extra procedural protests, then expect to suffer legal and procedural consequences.
Yeah.
That's what I've said since the beginning. That's what I'll say again.
I want to toss the ball to Kevin at this point and let Kevin get in a little. A lot has been said, both from principles and from counterpoints. What do you disagree with here?
What do I disagree? Well, far too much to get into. In terms of it being a free speech issue, yeah, I think most of this is free speech. Obviously, once you start taking over buildings or land or whatever, it becomes extra legal, and therefore I don't think would actually fall under, technically speaking, the First Amendment. Although we don't even have that here, so it would be fucking weird. But regardless of that, one thing I did just want to mention, which is broadening it out, so apologies to Wick on this one, but the media response to this has been a fucking disgrace, frankly. I think the almost lockstep I see from pretty even liberal fucking characters in the media is the reason that, A, the media is fucking despised and will continue to be despised, and B, when your newspapers fucking crumble and when your TV stations go to the wall and you end up fucking unemployed, journalists of America, you did this to yourselves. Bravo. You're sowing the
just
seeds
for
for your own
clarity,
destruction.
Just for clarity, what do you think is the... I'm talking to Kevin, Omar. Just for clarity, what do you think is some of the more egregious examples of the media covering this in an inappropriate way? Can you give me a few examples?
Oh, Scarborough on
Thank you.
what is it, MSNBC, I think,
Yes.
that guy can literally go and throw himself into a wood chipper in Minecraft. Frankly, he's awful.
I remind you, we're all on Twitch today,
see,
so
it was
I said in Minecraft. I said in Minecraft.
I don't think that works anymore,
He's
but
clearly a
sure.
gamer. He's clearly a gamer, and I'm just saying, if he wanted to, he should. Anyway, I saw, what was the CNN guy, the bald guy, Smakonish, I think his name is. I watched a segment he did, and it's just, and again, these are sort of on the liberal end of things. You'd expect Fox News to be out there doing their thing. But, some of the liberal commentary from the United States, and indeed from Britain, have been essentially sounding like Fox News people. And again, you're just turning off the newer generation of people to your already dying formats.
But don't you think that if there is a majority of the media, right, a majority of the media from all sides, left, right, and center, in this case, let me finish, Omar, please, for the love of fucking God. Okay, but do you not think that maybe the reason that they're doing it isn't conspiratorial, but mainly they're just calling balls and strikes and saying, well, yeah, this is just so obvious.
I don't think it's conspiratorial.
Right, left, and center.
I'm not saying it's conspiratorial.
Well, let me finish real quick. I understand. Maybe that was a loaded term. I apologize. But when you look at the media,
I know what you mean, though.
Yeah. When from left, right, and center, they're all seeing the same thing and to varying degrees. And I've seen look, from my perspective, I've seen a spectrum of coverage on this. Right, it hasn't been all the same, but you seem to be getting the same.
Could you send me some of the pro-student stuff? Because I've not seen
Sure, fire.org. The fire.org is a really good example of they're not super mainstream, but they're respected, that have set up for the Texas
I know what you mean when you say. I know what you mean when you say conspiratorial, in that there's some sort of thing behind the scenes coordinating. I'm not going down that path at all. I'm not in that kind of mind frame at all. The point I would make is that there is a concrete material interest that everyone in the kind of media commentariat space, that kind of section of society, have similar interests. It's not that there's some conspiratorial direction of the opinion of these people. It's that they all exist in the same kind of media ecosphere bubble. And so you get a lot of things that when they challenge orthodoxy, like BLM or like, I mean, back in the day, like Vietnam or whatever, you get a similar response from people whose lives depend on the cushiness of the situation continuing. That's the point I'm saying. They're far more interested in, I think the MLK phrase was it a comfortable injustice than an uncomfortable peace, or something like that, whatever the phrasing was. And people in the media class are far more interested in these students just, you have your little protest and you go home and nothing changes. That's all they're interested in. And that's, again, sort of betraying a huge section of the American population.
I want to respond to this from Counter and Principles. I'm really curious. Do you think
he's
that
right?
the
We
media
just think it's
coverage-
good. So by the way, I'm probably more pro-Israel or pro-Jew in this circumstance than our lefty compatriots, but I do agree that Israel is kind of a sacred cow in American media. If you start criticizing Israel, then it gets conflated with Jews as a whole, and then as a result, you're called an anti-Semite, and then you can't have a conversation about it. So I agree with them there. So while I think that there's real examples of anti-Semitism, legitimately like fucked up shit that the alt-right would have been ecstatic to have said a few years ago, I think that it is a sacred cow, and it makes the conversations more difficult to have. So, for instance, like, I think Israel having a military response to October 7th is reasonable and justified. However, at this point, we do have 30,000 civilian casualties. It seems like there were steps that they took to destroy infrastructure rather than preserve infrastructure. And it also seems like there were times that they could have reduced the hardship on the civilian population of Gaza, and they actively chose not to. So it wasn't justice, it was vengeance. Now, I might understand their sense of vengeance, considering you had 1,000 civilians massacred and gleefully paraded through the streets. But part of what hopefully will prevent World War III is us realizing that we're all human beings with human instincts, and as a result, not every single Gazan is a fucking hardened war criminal who cheered on children getting fucking murdered in their cribs. And that's the kind of hatred you have to have in order to justify what will likely happen in Rafah in the next week. There will be extremely fucked up shit that happens.
It's okay, no problem.
Can I ask, just ask, because I mean, obviously you're American, so it's sort of to get your interest on this. Like you say, I agree with you that it's a sacred cow, but my feeling is, as an outsider looking in, and certainly from the polling data that I've seen on this, it seems to be becoming far less of a sacred cow, especially amongst younger people. It seems like these protests are part of that, I think, significant zeitgeist change on this issue.
I think it's also World War II. So hold on. Another sacred cow in the American zeitgeist is World War II, in which we romanticize the narrative like, oh, we went up against the Axis powers, we went up against the Nazis, and weren't they so terrible for being genocidal? I was raised on the heroic narrative of the World War II generation, and as you grow up, you find out that the heroic narrative is not all it's cracked up to be. And then on top of that, you kind of you lose that generational memory where it's not the Allies saved the Jews during World War II from the Nazis. Hey, here's actually all this fucked up history that's associated with it.
Well, I wanted to get Principal's response as well, but just to interject, if I may, briefly on this, I think that
Go ahead.
Omar, I promise you, you'll get to you.
I'm just
You'll have a
joking.
turn.
I want to make you laugh.
I promise. Okay. But when it comes to the media coverage specifically, I think that there is a tendency to favor Israel in certain ways, but we also have a media bias, media interests, and again, this isn't conspiratorial. They have interests, financial interests, to cover the controversy. So to paint protesters and things like this in a more light kind of coat of paint than they normally would, right? Than they would take with a politician or things like that. And this has generally been the case that we've seen Aside from Fox News, that's an outlier, but it's generally been the case that they have had pretty preferential coverage of protests in the past, right? It is specifically these protests that have begun to the page has kind of started to turn on this, where they aren't running as much cover for the violence that happens. And that's why you do see scenes like you did where you saw the protesters who were chanting for there is only one solution, Intifada revolution, and things like that. Before, that would have been painted as a mostly peaceful protest and things like that. But now you are seeing more highlights to that. But I would say that goes against a lot of the instincts of reporters for the last 10 years in America specifically to cover protests with the glamorized First Amendment thing that they think they have been. But I want to get Principal's thoughts, and then we'll go to Omar. So Principal's thoughts on this, and then we'll go to Omar. Go ahead.
Well, first off, I think there's way more than one sacred cow in to your point, they are trying to sell newspapers, they're trying to sell clicks. So they'll sell rage bait, but generally speaking, there are a few topics that just generally get themselves, the media, bad press, so they just don't cover it. It is what it is. I do have a game bird sized number of bones to pick with you though over this fire thing. So I did want to get a little bit into the University of Texas thing. I do my best when I'm gonna have strong feelings about stuff, and you've seen me having a shit fit on Twitter over the way that this has been escalating, and that I thought that we needed to get police involved way sooner. So when that one went down, I went out and hunted that out. You saw how fast I handed you back a link when we were arguing about this. You can hear the cameraman from his own camera. That was on the website of the Fox affiliate that he works for. They had the recording from his camera when he got pulled down and got arrested. He did exactly what he's supposed to do. He let himself get arrested peacefully. They reported on it, and I think it's a little weird, it's a little strange that everybody in the media is happy to report on the fact that a reporter was arrested, and yet there hasn't really been any indication that again, like they threw the book at him or something. My understanding is that the original charge for why he was being detained and arrested in the first place was because a police officer in front of him indicated that he felt that the cameraman had pushed him. So you can see in the beginning of that video that a cop standing behind him basically puts a hand on him and starts to pull him to the side because they're escorting a whole bunch of people out. He's detaining him. He's just pulling him to the side, but because of the camera on his shoulder, he falls over. I think it's a tragic situation, right? The cop perceives it as, resisting. The guy's just trying to keep his balance. It's unfortunate. The whole point is we're not seeing them file a whole bunch of civil rights charges, and the cops aren't throwing the book at him. It just was what it was.
So, one, we don't have enough time to show how many charges are going to be filed or lawsuits that will come into. Speaking of Texas specifically now, I don't want to. This doesn't apply to Columbia. This doesn't apply to the other campuses. This is applying specifically to Texas. The cops should not have been called. The university president at that case was not okay. It was an escalation for him to call the cops. The people who were protesting had simply walked out of their classrooms. They weren't obstructing.
You're
they weren't
missing
making
context
destruction. Here. If I may, right? I let you go. Let me finish. Right? They weren't destroying any property, and they weren't being violent. They had simply started. And when the president of the university, I forget his name, the University of Texas president, when he was talking, what was his name?
His name's Dave.
Dave.
Probably.
I was joking.
Oh,
Never mind.
whatever.
Jesus.
University of Texas president, whatever the fuck his name is, what he says was he was afraid that it would turn into another Columbia situation. So there had been no evidence of this happening. He had simply seen the reporting from and the coverage of what was happening in Columbia. No, this is what he says. This is what he says in the transcript. I can give it to you. I can link it to you. But this is what he says, and the reason he called was he was afraid it was going to turn into another Columbia situation. And so he was worried that was going to happen, so he called for police to help him de-escalate the situation. Greg Abbott sent in the riot police, right? And we all know
it's
what
Texas.
happened.
Go big or home.
Yes,
Go
Yes,
home.
I don't
Now,
think
am I allowed to break in yet? Because you haven't said anything that's incorrect. You're just missing context, and that's what makes
missing
this.
context. What I am saying is that I can promise you can go. The context here that is important, as these students had not broken any rules. They had failed to maybe get a permit, but I don't give a shit about that, right? They were trying to give their First Amendment freedom of expression, and I think that the government being called to arrest them and to stop them was antithetical to free speech and should not have happened. Whether or not it should be legal for the university to call the police does not matter to me. The legality does not matter. I am talking from a moral standpoint. Whether they can do it doesn't, just because you can do a thing doesn't make you should do a thing. Again, this is specifically for Texas. We're not talking about Columbia. We're not talking about UCLA. Those are different situations.
His name is Jay Hatzel.
Jay Haxel, thank you.
Would you
Now
like
you may
Which is
respond,
pretty much the same name.
and then we will go to
Yeah,
Omar
basically.
and expand this. But you may respond.
Would
now.
you
Go
like
ahead.
another pie for your own face?
All right.
Because I'm about to invalidate your entire rant with one word, sir, and then I will explain the context. Yet. So the fact pattern here is that the students had applied for a permit to protest. The university initially denied the application. So far, so good. Again, you have your basic fact pattern correct. The students had been making statements on social media that they intended to replicate what was happening at Columbia. Intent had already been expressed. That is why the university asked for the police to show up. The riot police came because they were predicting that it might turn out like Columbia. And there is footage of protesters at that event at U of T with like wooden boards pushing against the riot police. Fucking with a cop is a really quick way to get arrested.
Look, anyone who was fucking with a cop and got arrested, I have no sympathy for. I'm not talking
It
about
was
the
like
arrest.
26 people, Wick!
They did not just arrest or
can I go-
detain
can I
or
go
go
back?
after the people who were fucking with them. And people who had not resisted arrest were getting fucking tased. And I have a problem with that.
Okay, I agree with you. Okay. In response
ahead, Omar.
to Logan about the United States media, yeah, the media is biased in the United States. And I left legacy media. I left them a long time ago. I'm a recovering addict of MSNBC. I wasted 10 years of Trump this, Trump that, Trump this, Trump that. And I left them. The whole idea that Morning Joe is yelling, Morning Joe is equivalent what Fox and Friend was to Trump. He used to watch it every morning. Now rumor has it that Sleepy Biden, genocidal Joe, watches this Morning Joe. That's why he's always screaming at the. He's actually screaming at Biden when he, "Arr!" And everybody wants to get a word. The ADL, everybody goes to that show because they know that our friend Genocidal Joe watches it. And Joe Scarborough, whatever his name, he's a grifter. He's a right winger. He came to power in the 1996 Republican Revolution, the contract with America with New Jersey. They're the one who destroyed politics, the scorched earth policies. Anyway, the river to the sea chant is done by the Israeli Likud. It's in their charter, as it is in the Palestinian. Okay, to go to Texas, you see, Texas, we have an issue. You have a governor he's dickless, so he's in a wheelchair, and he has this energy that he wants. He's either taking people on a plane, so he wants to show that he's tough, and he sent those people to beat up those kids for no reason. If they were that tough, why didn't they rescue those kids for 1 hour and a half when they were getting killed and murdered? That's whether in Valde, I don't know, this village town inside Texas. They were
Oh,
beating
these
up.
things don't have anything to do with each other.
Because they're cowards.
You think
Okay,
that
hold on. Relax, man. Relax. Not everybody. Okay, you used to be a good cop. Fuck it. Okay, and the whole idea.
No,
is
no,
that,
no. I'm going to call bullshit on this one because we got the same thing back about comparing January 6th, and you just did the same thing where you compared a situation with a gun to one without.
They were beating up.
Yeah, so
professionals.
what does city police
Wick,
have to do with the
Wick,
governor?
Because he ordered it. He ordered the Abbott.
The governor ordered law enforcement to stand down at Uvalde?
Oh no, he ordered the.
I mean, this is the
No,
this is
he
the first I'm
ordered-
hearing about it.
no, he know that I'm talking about the students in Austin, Texas, in the college campus. He ordered the riot police to go in there. Everybody knows that, and he's always begging for attention. He's always doing all these stuff to create attention for himself. You know, if I was in Texas and I just fucking take his wheelchair and deprive him from moving around anymore inside that fucking
Get to the point.
Well, let's
Kevin,
there's
you got
no need
anything
be
to say
going
about
with the
that
fucking
ableism right there,
wheelchair.
buddy?
Because that no,
Yeah,
no,
well, you literally shouted over me saying exactly that. Leave the wheelchair shit out of it, man.
no,
Come
I
on
am.
now.
Guess what? I'm disabled too, so I
Look,
could do
he's a
that too.
prick. He's a
Hey,
prick
hey,
whether he can use
no,
his
no,
fucking legs or not. Just
no,
it's not relevant,
the
you know.
problem is the
Leave
tree
his wheelchair out of it.
that fell on him did not do his job. It should have hit him in the head instead of his leg. Okay.
Hold on, Omar, come on. We are on
Hey
fucking
there,
Twitch. This is the
hey, that's
second
not
time you've
bad. That's
pulled
not
this
bad
shit.
stuff. What are
You
we
will
saying?
not threaten my monetization.
We're
I
not saying that.
promise. I don't care
Oh,
if you
okay.
interrupt. Well, I do
Oh,
care if you
okay,
interrupt me
hold
and
on.
you cause the show to be a problem.
You know what
But you
upsets me?
keep doing it. I cannot have you making
Okay, hold on.
statements like that. So what we're gonna do?
Let me just finish my thought. You do the same shit every time, you fucking scumbag. What the fuck did I say that was so wrong? What did I say that was wrong? Fucking scumbag, man. He does that every fucking time, that fucking dickless motherfucker. What the fuck did I say that was wrong? The motherfucking tree fell on him? Everybody knows that. He always does the fuck you and your fucking channel. That's the last time I'm coming. Okay, he does the same pussy movie. He does that every time.
Give me $100. How's that? I'll monetize it. But we are. Let's keep going. Well, let's pass it all together.
Let's do a Hassan 9/11. All right, come on now. Dessert? Not. You know, you're gonna dress like that. What can I say?
Where were we? Okay, sorry. Give me a second, gang. I have to reset a little bit. Hold on. Thank you for the $20. I appreciate that. Um, let's go to the responses on campus. So, Kevin, let me ask you directly, right? Given all that has happened, how do you think that the
Yeah.